You ever had a moment where your stomach just drops? Where you feel like the ground beneath you has vanished and you're just free falling? Yeah, that was me. I was sitting in that sleek, glass-walled conference room, my hands clasped so tightly my knuckles turned white. I had spent months building this AI-driven marketing strategy, pouring everything into it. Long nights, sacrificed weekends, skipped birthdays. And now here I was, watching someone else, Nathan, my boss, stand in front of the board and steal my work like it was his. Like I was nothing. I should have seen it coming. Nathan had always been one of those guys, you know the type. The kind that gets by on charisma and buzzwords, always talking in circles, somehow impressing the higher-ups while doing absolutely nothing. But this was a whole new level of audacity. Before we dive into the story, I have a quick favor to ask. Drop a comment below and let me know where you're watching from. I love seeing how far our stories reach. And if this is your first time here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. We drop new videos every single day. Now, let's get back to the story. My name is Claire. I'm 28 years old, and I work at one of the most prestigious tech firms in California. I wasn't born into money or privilege. I clawed my way up. Scholarships, late-night study sessions, side jobs to pay my way through school. I worked twice as hard to be taken seriously in this industry. And for what? To have my work snatched from under me by a lazy, self-important fraud like Nathan. No, I wasn't going to let that stand. But back then, sitting in that boardroom, I was too stunned to react. I just watched, frozen, as Nathan smiled at the CEO, accepting my praise, my credit. I didn't know it yet, but that moment, that gut-wrenching, humiliating moment, that was the beginning of the end for him. Let me tell you exactly what Nathan stole from me. 6 months, that's how long I spent building the AI strategy. 6 months of endless data analysis, fine-tuning algorithms, testing user engagement models, and crafting a marketing framework that could revolutionize the industry. I worked late every night. The cleaning crew knew me by name. My apartment became a storage unit. I was practically living at the office. And Nathan spent those 6 months doing absolutely nothing. Oh, he liked to pop in every once in a while, just to pretend he was involved. He'd lean against my desk with his smug little smile and say things like, "Looking good, Claire. Keep it up." And then he'd disappear back to his golf meetings, his client lunches, his networking events where he shook hands and took credit for things he didn't do. But me, I didn't care about networking. I cared about results. And I had results. The AI strategy I built wasn't just some fancy concept, it was a game changer. It could predict consumer trends with 90% accuracy, adjust marketing campaigns in real time, boost engagement, drive sales, and dominate the competition. This was my shot, my chance to finally prove to the higher-ups that I was more than just an employee, that I was indispensable. So the night before the big presentation, I sent the final version to Nathan for approval. Just a formality, I had done everything. I expected a quick "looks great," maybe a few last-minute suggestions. Instead, I got a one-line reply, "Got it. I'll take it from here." I should have known. I should have realized what that meant. But I didn't, not until it was too late. The next morning, I walked into that boardroom ready, or at least I thought I was. I had my notes, my slides, my talking points. What I didn't have was a clue. A clue that Nathan had already decided I wouldn't be speaking at all. I took a seat, heart pounding, adrenaline buzzing in my veins. This was it, the moment I had worked so hard for. The CEO walked in. The other executives followed. The energy in the room shifted. Everyone was here. Nathan stood up, cleared his throat, and then he started talking. Not introducing me, not handing me the floor, talking like this was his work. Like he had spent the last 6 months perfecting the AI model. Not me. I felt my breath catch in my throat. He was using my exact words, the same analysis, the same projections. He even used my damn jokes, the little quips I had thrown into the slides to keep things engaging. And the worst part? Everyone believed him. The CEO nodded, impressed. The board members murmured their approval. And then the final blow. The CEO leaned back in his chair, smiling. "Nathan, this is brilliant. We need a leader like you. Congratulations, you're our new VP." For a second, I couldn't process it. I actually looked around, waiting for someone to correct them, to say, "Actually, Claire was the one who..." But no one did, because no one knew. Nathan turned to me, and I swear he smirked, like he knew I wouldn't do anything. Like he had just won. In that moment, I almost lost it. I almost stood up and shouted the truth. But then I saw it, the way the CEO glanced at me, not even really noticing me. The way the board members were already moving on to the next topic, and I realized something. If I called Nathan out right now, it wouldn't matter. Because I was just an employee, a worker bee, not someone they saw as leadership material. Not yet. And if I wanted revenge, if I wanted to make this right, I had to be smarter than him. I had to let him think he had won. For now. But Nathan? Oh, he had no idea what was coming. The moment Nathan stole my work and got promoted, something inside me shifted. The old me would have exploded, would have screamed at the injustice of it all. But I knew better now. I knew that revenge wasn't about reacting in the heat of the moment. It was about patience, precision, so I swallowed my pride. I walked up to Nathan after his promotion and forced a smile. "Congratulations, Nathan," I said, keeping my voice even. "I'm sure you'll do great." He grinned at me, that smug, condescending look plastered across his face. "Thanks, Claire. You know it's all about having the right vision, right?" "Vision. My vision, you mean?" That was the moment I knew I wasn't just going to get even. I was going to take everything from him. From that day forward, I played my role to perfection. I nodded politely in meetings, took notes when asked, even brought Nathan coffee once or twice just to sell the illusion. Let him think I had accepted my place beneath him. But behind the scenes, I was building my case. I started documenting everything, every email, every Slack message where he asked me to explain concepts he should already understand. Every time he took credit for my insights in meetings. I tracked every mistake he made, every clueless response he gave when the executives asked for details. I even started recording our conversations, just in case. Nathan thought he was safe. He thought he was invincible now that he had a fancy title. But what he didn't realize was that he was in deep waters without a life jacket. He didn't actually know how my AI strategy worked. He could memorize the buzzwords, sure, throw out terms like predictive modeling and data optimization. But the second someone pushed for real details, he was lost. And the best part, he didn't even see the trap closing in around him, because I wasn't going to take him down right away. No, I wanted everyone, especially the CEO, to see him for what he really was. So I waited. And sure enough, the cracks started to show. At first, the signs were small, a hesitation here, a vague response there. But soon, the entire executive team started to notice. It started in a Monday morning meeting. One of the finance executives leaned forward, adjusting his glasses. "Nathan, can you walk us through the projected return on investment for the AI implementation in the next quarter?" I saw it, the slight twitch in Nathan's jaw, the way his fingers tightened around his pen. He cleared his throat. "Well, we're expecting strong numbers across the board." Silence. The executive frowned. "Yes, but specifically, how does the AI adapt to market fluctuations? What metrics are we tracking?" Nathan forced a smile. "It's a dynamic process." That was a non-answer, a bad one. I said to myself, laughing inside. I watched as the executive scribbled something down in his notebook, a sign of doubt. That was all I needed. A week later, I sat in on a client call where Nathan was supposed to explain our AI's capabilities. The client asked a straightforward question. "How does the algorithm adjust for different customer behaviors?" Nathan chuckled nervously. "Well, you see, the AI is, flexible." Flexible. I nearly choked on my coffee. The client didn't look impressed. "Can you elaborate?" Nathan fumbled. It learns dynamically. You know, it's all about real-time adaptation." I saw the client exchange a glance with his colleague, more doubt. This was too easy. As Nathan struggled, I subtly positioned myself as the real expert. I didn't openly undermine him. I didn't have to. Instead, I made sure the right people started seeing my value. I'd casually drop insights in meetings, things Nathan should have been saying but wasn't. I'd provide clear, concise explanations when executives were confused, always directing my answers to them, never Nathan. I saw the way they reacted, the nods of approval. And best of all, Nathan was too arrogant to see it happening. And then the perfect storm arrived. The company's biggest investor meeting of the year was announced. This wasn't just any meeting, this was the meeting. The one where Nathan was supposed to prove he was worth the promotion. The CEO expected a full presentation on the AI strategy. The one Nathan had stolen from me. I could see it in his eyes. The panic, the realization he had no idea what to say. The night before the presentation, Nathan called me into his office. "Claire," he said, rubbing his temples, "I need you to put together some talking points for tomorrow." I blinked. "You want me to write your presentation?" He let out a forced laugh. No, just some, key points. You know, to make sure we're aligned." Aligned? I wanted to laugh in his face, but instead I just nodded. "Of course, Nathan." I spent the next few hours carefully crafting a document that looked helpful on the surface but was full of gaps. I gave him just enough information to feel confident, but not enough to survive under real scrutiny. He didn't even notice. The next morning, I walked into the boardroom calm and composed. Nathan, not so much. The tension in the boardroom was suffocating. Nathan stood at the front of the room, gripping the edges of the podium like it was the only thing keeping him upright. The massive conference table was lined with investors, board members, and the CEO, his boss, my boss, and soon, if everything went according to plan, only my boss. I took my seat near the end of the table, hands folded, calm as ever, because I already knew how this was going to end. Nathan didn't. The CEO leaned forward. "All right, Nathan, let's hear it." Nathan started his presentation. "Good morning, everyone," he started, his voice a little too high, a little too forced. "I'm thrilled to walk you through the future of our AI initiative." He clicked to the first slide. I could already see the cracks forming. His opening sounded scripted, memorized, but not understood. He threw around jargon in a way that made it painfully obvious he didn't know what he was talking about. And then the investors started asking questions. "Can you break down the AI's predictive learning model?" one of them asked. Nathan nodded too quickly. "Of course, so, the model is built to adapt dynamically." Pause, the investor raised an eyebrow. "Yes, but how?" Nathan swallowed. "Well, it learns in real time based on, the patterns in user behavior and, key data points." Another pause. A sharp silence settled over the room. I saw the investors exchange glances. The board members looked unimpressed. The CEO, he was frowning, arms crossed, fingers tapping against the table. I could almost hear his thoughts. "I think we promoted the wrong guy." And then came the killing blow. The CEO leaned forward. "Nathan," he said, voice low but firm, "explain how our AI distinguishes between high-value and low-value customers in real time." I watched Nathan's entire body tense. I had left this part out of the notes I gave him last night. Nathan blinked, opened his mouth, closed it again. Sweat gathered at his temples. His fingers clenched against the podium. "It's, well, the AI, uses a formula to compare." Dead silence. The investors were waiting. The board members were waiting. And then, finally, I spoke. "If I may," I said smoothly, tilting my head just enough to seem polite. Nathan turned to me, eyes desperate, as if I had just thrown him a lifeline. He had no idea I was about to drown him. I pushed back my chair, stood, and walked to the front. And then, in perfect detail, I laid out the entire strategy. My strategy. The real way the AI worked. The specific machine learning models we used. How we segmented customer value based on proprietary behavioral analytics. It took me less than 5 minutes to do what Nathan couldn't do in 20. When I finished, I turned to the CEO and the investors. "I hope that clarifies things." The room was silent for a moment. Then one of the investors spoke. "So Claire," she said slowly, "you designed this AI?" I met her gaze and nodded. "Yes, every part of it." The shift in the room was palpable. I turned back to Nathan just in time to see the color drain from his face. The CEO leaned back in his chair, his jaw tight. "Nathan," he said, "you told us this was your work." Nathan shook his head quickly. "No, I mean, Claire was part of the team, of course, but I cut him off, my voice even. "I designed the models. I drafted the strategy documents you presented." I turned to the CEO. "And I have the proof." I pulled out my tablet, and with a few taps displayed my emails where I had sent Nathan my work, drafts with my name, sent weeks before he claimed them as his own. Notes from our past meetings, where I had outlined the exact AI models I had just explained. I didn't need to say another word. The room turned against him instantly. "Nathan," the CEO said, his voice cold with quiet fury, "pack your things, you're fired." Nathan's mouth fell open. "Wait, what? No, you don't understand. The CEO cut him off with a sharp wave of his hand. Now, security was called. Nathan sputtered protests as two men stepped forward, but it didn't matter. Because the moment they took his badge and led him toward the door, I knew it was over. And I had won. The room was still settling when the CEO turned to me. "Claire," he said, and for the first time there was something new in his expression: respect. "We should have recognized your work sooner," he admitted, "but I won't make that mistake again." He gestured toward Nathan's now vacant chair. "How would you feel about stepping into the VP role?" A slow smile spread across my face. "I'd be honored." Months later, the office looked different from where I sat now from my office. Under my leadership, our AI initiative thrived. We secured new investors, expanded our market reach, and became a leader in predictive analytics. Nathan, blacklisted. I heard he tried to get another job in tech, but my industry connections made sure his betrayal followed him everywhere. No one trusted a fraud. The last I heard, he was struggling to find work. A poetic ending, really. I leaned back in my chair, looking out at the city's skyline. Some people would say revenge is petty, that you should let things go. But I knew better. Revenge wasn't just about getting even, it was about justice. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to hit that like button. And don't forget to share this video and subscribe if you haven't already. We've got more incredible revenge stories coming your way. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever had a boss or coworker steal credit for your hard work? What would you have done differently in Claire's situation? Would you have called Nathan out immediately, or played the long game like she did? Drop your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.